He made a promise to his wife on her deathbed. For the next 10 years, he kept it, even though she was gone.
Hello and welcome. Today, we're sharing a story that explores the promises we make and the love that powers them. It's a quiet story, inspired by true events, about a man named Arthur, whose devotion to his late wife Eleanor teaches us that some bonds are not broken by death. This is a story about a love that lasts forever.
Arthur was 88 years old. He lived in the same small blue house he had shared with Eleanor for over 60 years. His movements were slow, careful, and deliberate. His days were structured by simple routines: coffee at sunrise, reading the newspaper cover to cover, and tending to his garden. The world outside his window had become loud and fast, but in Arthur's home, time moved at its own gentle pace. The silence in the house was a constant companion. It was a heavy silence, filled with the ghosts of laughter and conversation. Every chair, every photograph, every teacup held a memory of her. But nowhere was Eleanor's presence felt more strongly than in the garden. It had been her pride and joy, and at its heart was a sprawling rose bush that produced the most magnificent yellow roses. Yellow was her color. It matched the brightness of her smile, he always said. He remembered her hands, covered in soil, her face shaded by a big straw hat, humming a tune as she worked. Their life together was a garden they had both tended with care. Then the illness came. It was a slow fading, like a flower wilting at the end of a long summer. In her final days, the world shrank to the size of her bedroom. Arthur sat by her side, holding her frail hand, his own hand weathered and strong. They didn't talk much. There was nothing left to say that hadn't been said in 1,000 different ways over 60 years. One afternoon, with the golden light pouring through the window, she turned to him. Her voice was a whisper. "Promise me something, Artie," she said. He leaned in closer. "Promise me you won't forget to talk to me. Bring me a yellow rose every week, and just tell me about your week." He squeezed her hand, his eyes blurring with tears. "I promise, my love," he choked out. "Every week." It was the last promise he ever made her. She passed away 2 days later. The silence that followed was unbearable. The house wasn't just quiet, it was empty. Arthur felt adrift. The following Tuesday, he walked into the garden. He looked at the vibrant yellow roses, and the promise echoed in his mind. With trembling hands, he cut the most perfect bloom. The drive to the cemetery was the longest of his life. He found her gravestone, a simple granite marker under a large oak tree. He placed the rose in a small vase, and then he sat on the cool grass. He didn't know what to say. It felt foolish, talking to a stone, but a promise was a promise.
"Hello, Ellie," he began, his voice rough. "The kitchen faucet is dripping again. I can't seem to fix it right. And Mrs. Gable's new puppy, it barks all night. But it's very cute." He talked for 15 minutes, his words weaving a simple tapestry of his lonely life. When he finished, he felt a strange sense of peace. The burden in his chest felt just a little bit lighter.
And so the ritual began. Every Tuesday for 10 years, through scorching summers and bitter winters, through his own bouts of sickness and the aches of old age, 520 Tuesdays, 520 yellow roses. He told her about the changing seasons, the new neighbors, the books he read. He told her how much he missed her. The cemetery became a familiar, comforting place. His weekly visits were not a sad obligation. They were the anchor of his life. They were his ongoing conversation with the love of his life. Over the years, his stories changed, evolving with the seasons of his grief. In the beginning, they were filled with the small, sharp pains of her absence. "The toaster broke again, Ellie. You always knew how to unjam it. The house is just too quiet without your humming." Or, "I tried making your famous lemon meringue pie for the church bake sale. It was a complete disaster. They were too kind to say so, but I know." As time went on, his monologue softened into a peaceful dialogue with her memory. He told her of the neighborhood children growing up, how the Johnson boy was now taller than his own father. He described books that made him laugh out loud and the changing patterns of the clouds on a lazy afternoon. He shared his quiet joys and his silent sorrows, confiding in her as he always had. Some days he would just sit, the silence between them as comfortable and full of understanding as it had been when she was sitting right beside him on the porch swing. He wasn't just talking to a memory, he was continuing their lifelong conversation. One Tuesday, a young woman approached him. She wore the green uniform of the cemetery groundskeepers. He had seen her around, always working quietly. "Excuse me, sir," she said softly. "I don't mean to intrude, but I've worked here for 5 years, and every Tuesday you're here with a yellow rose. I just wanted to say I think it's beautiful." Arthur gave her a gentle, tired smile. "Thank you, dear." He looked at Eleanor's name on the stone. "I made her a promise," he explained, "that I'd bring her a rose and tell her about my week, so she wouldn't be lonely, so I wouldn't be lonely." The young woman's eyes welled with tears. "She was a lucky woman," she whispered. Arthur nodded slowly. "No," he said, his voice full of a love that 10 years of absence couldn't diminish. "I was the lucky one." Arthur's story shows us that love doesn't end when a life does. It simply changes form. His promise wasn't just a weekly ritual. It was a testament to a bond so strong that not even death could break it. It was his way of keeping her spirit, her memory, and their shared life vibrant and present every single day.
The lesson here is profound. True devotion is found in the small, consistent acts of remembrance. It's in the promises we keep, not for them, but for ourselves. It's how we honor a beautiful past while navigating a lonely present. It teaches us that memories are not just things we have, they are things we do.
If this story touched your heart, please give this video a like, share it with someone who might need to hear it, and subscribe for more stories that explore the human experience. Don't forget to hit that notification bell so you never miss an update. And now for some reflection. What is the most meaningful promise you have ever made or received? And how do you keep the memory of your loved ones alive? Share your thoughts in the comments below. We would be honored to read them. Thank you for listening.